Ram
coming
TRX
back.
is coming back, and it's coming back with
More power.
even more power. But that's not all. If you're a Ram truck fan and the loss of the V8 Hemi in the 1500s has left you a little
Of course we're
unhappy,
unhappy.
this leaked email
Look
that
at
was
the
originally
email.
shared a few days ago on sportsnot.com in celebration of the company heading back to the NASCAR Truck Series also revealed a whole lot more. You can see the top line announcement says the 5.7 liter Hemi will be back in 1500s. And the third line reveals that the TRX is coming back with more power. Then today, as I was getting ready to make this video, the guys over at Mopar Insiders in a new article said, quote, "We can now confirm, based on our reliable sources, that the Ram TRX will indeed make a comeback in 2026. And yes, it will have Hemi V8 power under the hood," end quote. Now, which version of the engine it's going to get, we're not really sure yet. But I'm thinking the 797 horsepower version from the Hellcat Red-Eye would certainly make some headlines, and it would take back the horsepower throne from the Ford Raptor R. But we'll have to wait and see what Tim Kuniskis decides to do. Hopefully this news has at least a few of you smiling, so let me know what you think.
So you heard the man. He said that the Ram TRX is coming back, the 5.7 liter Hemi is coming back, the 6.4 is coming back. So the Hemi itself is coming back. We're getting Mopar power coming back to Dodge. Let me go ahead and screen record what I'm looking at here. Let's go to Mopar Insiders, man. As always, the Hemi powered beast returns, and it could be more powerful than ever. The Hemi TRX will return in 2026. You heard what he said. Will return. Not a possibility, not a chance, not likely. It will return in 2026. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to post something here in a minute. Over the weekend, the internet was buzzing about rumors of sweeping changes to Stellantis, reportedly planning to course correct after the tenure of the worst CEO known to man, Carlos Tavares, who is no longer in the picture. One of the most talked about topics was the potential return of the Hemi-powered TRX. We can now confirm, based on reliable sources, now this is Mopar Insider saying that they can confirm that from reliable sources, that the Ram TRX will indeed make a comeback in 2026. And yes, it will have Hemi V8 power under the hood. So if that's the case, in the Hemi V8 Ram TRX, which is probably going to have a Hellcat engine of some variant, is coming back in 2 years. Or next year, excuse me, not 2 years, next year. Why in the hell would I buy 1500 Ram RHO, RHO? Why would I go out and pay $80,000 for an inline six, 540 horsepower truck right now? Why would I do that? Why would you do that? You wouldn't do that, would you? If you know that a more powerful than the Ram TRX that I currently have, which is, what are those, like 702, something like that, 710? I think the Durango Hellcat is 710 and the Ram TRX are like 702. If it's more powerful than that, with a bigger Hellcat engine than that, why in the hell would I buy a Ram RHO right now? Why in the hell would I spend 80 stacks on an inline six, 540 horsepower 6 liter? I wouldn't. Exactly. I wouldn't. And yes, it will have a V8 Hemi under the hood. Former Ram Trucks advertising director Jeff Summers hinted at a possible return of the T-Rex during the initial launch of the RHO when describing details with the original debut commercial. That's true, because in the commercial, there was 3 trucks. One was the RHO. The other one didn't have any badges on it. You couldn't see any numbers as far as horsepower is concerned. And the other one, I think that was the launch of the Ram Charger, which nobody cares about. At that time, it was speculated that such a model would be based on high horsepower variant of the Hurricane i6. That's not the case. That was back when Tavares was in power. But now we've got the father of the SRT, the father of the Hellcat, Tim Kuniskis, who is back with Ram. And he is going to be tapping into the stockpile of supercharged V8 Hemis that are left over. So apparently Dodge still has a bunch of Hellcat engines literally just chilling. Because based on this article and the articles that we're going to get into, it seems like they have a stockpile. They got a bunch of Hellcat engines just sitting at the factory. You know what I mean? That really need to go somewhere, which is why they've been putting them in damn Durangos of all cars. But they really need to go somewhere. And apparently they're going to be dropping those bad boys in Ram T-Rexes. Now, here's the thing. Another thing that we've been hearing is that the new T-Rex will be more powerful than ever, which is more powerful than the current T-Rex or the past T-Rex 702. While we can't confirm whether it would be a simple retune of the Hellcat V8, pushing it to 717, I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would come out with the new Ram T-Rex claiming it's more powerful than ever and only giving you, what's that, 15 more horsepower? 15 more than an outgoing T-Rex? That's stupid. or if they're going to be using the 797 Red Eye engine, right? Putting that Hellcat Red Eye, 797 horsepower in a truck, bro, in a truck. You know what I mean? 2026 RAM TRX with 797 horsepower Red Eye Hellcat engine under the hood. That's power. So if you know that that's coming around the corner as in next year, why in the hell would you go out and buy a Ram Row? Why in the hell does the Ram Row even exist? When I say row, I'm talking about the RHO. I'm just, pronouncing it as a word. RHO. Why in the hell would I buy that? Let's see what Ram RHOs are going for right now. Nah, that's the Rebel. Don't look at that, guys. That's the Rebel. There it is. 85,000. So this is in North Carolina. They want 85 for it. That's the Tungsten. Tungsten. Nope, that's the Rebel. Here's another one. This is in Charlotte. They want 90,800. And that's another one. So they want between 85.9 and 90,008. And you're telling me that people are going to go out and buy this engine in this brand new car, in this brand new truck, knowing that the T-Rex with more power is coming along next year? Hell no. Do not go out. I mean, if this is in fact true, and he said that he's got reliable sources, and when I say he, I'm talking about Mopar insiders, we can now confirm based on our reliable sources that the Ram TRX will indeed be making a comeback in 2026. And yes, it will have a HEMI V8, which is what everybody wants from these cars, is a HEMI V8. The cars, the trucks, the SUVs, all we want is a HEMI V8. We don't want no inline six. So if that's the case, why in the hell would you be going out and spending $85,000, $85,900 and $98,000 on inline six RHO? You wouldn't if you were smart. Unless for some reason, for whatever reason, you just decided you don't want a V8, you want an RHO. Maybe for the sake of gas mileage. I don't know. Maybe for the sake of the sound. Maybe you want something that's quieter than a V8 and you say, I like the RHO. Now, what I will say is the TRX is probably going to be expensive, like straight up and down. So we're looking at the RHO right now at 85.9 and 98,000. And when I say 98, I'm talking about 90,800, not 98,000. That T-Rex is probably going to be 92, 93, 95. So it's going to be more expensive. You know what I mean? Because even with the 2024 final edition T-Rexes, they were wanting like 124 initially, and nobody was paying them, so they had to drop them, So I would imagine that the new T-Rex that's coming out in 2026, you're going to be paying a little under or a little over six figures for it. You feel me? So that's probably where the RHO is going to come into play, simply because it's cheaper. And it's probably going to look something like the new T-Rex. The T-Rex that's coming out in 26 is probably going to be a little more aggressive. Obviously, it's going to sound completely different. But, if you want kind of a middle ground, something that looks aggressive, doesn't necessarily sound aggressive, performs aggressive in the sense that you're getting, 540 horsepower out of this inline six engine, or 500 plus horsepower. I don't know exactly. I can't think off the top of my head here. Yeah, 500 plus horsepower from an inline six, but you don't want to go out and pay six figures. Maybe you want to pay 85 or 90. Then that probably is where the RHO comes into play. But anything else, there's really no reason for you to be buying the RHO if the TRX is coming around the corner. Now, let's get back to what he pointed out. There was an email from one of the recent Stellantis U.S. dealer meetings. So this is one of the meetings that Stellantis had with their U.S. dealers. And long story short, literally, we can look at the email here. Apparently, somebody screenshotted the email, took a picture of it and put it on blast. But here it is. These are all the people that are involved in the email. So this is what's coming back. 5.7 liter Hemi will be back in the 1500s. Warlock packages, nobody cares about that. TRX is coming back with more power. Ram REV is being delayed because nobody wants that bullshit. The Ram Charger is moving up. 6.4 liter Hemi will come back in the 1500 trim levels, which is interesting because they've never been in the 1500s. Like the 6.4 was always in the Power Wagon, if I'm not mistaken. The 6.4 liter was only in the Power Wagon, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I believe that the 5.7 was in the 1500s. And then by the time you got to the 2500s, that's when you got into the diesel and all that stuff. I could be wrong. It may only be for the 2500s. Yeah, so I think that's what it was. So only for the 2500s was the 6.4 Hemi available, but now they're bringing it for the 1500. So you can literally have a Ram 1500 with a 6.4 liter Hemi in it. And then, of course, Dodge is getting back into the NASCAR truck series. So if you notice here, with the exception of all this bullshit down here that nobody cares about, the Durango last year, Hornet GLH model, kill that shit. Chrysler, Pacifica, Chrysler's going out terrible. All of this other stuff that nobody cares about, new Cherokee job, Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer MSRP will be reduced. The biggest thing here is RAM. And the reason why RAM is getting all of these upgrades and bringing the V8 back is because of Tim Kuniskis, which is the father of the SRT, the father of the Hellcat. He was the first one to do it. And you know, like I know that he is now back with Dodge or back with RAM. And you know, he's taken over Ram at this point. He has no affiliation with Dodge at this point. No affiliation with Jeep or Durango or any of that. You know what I mean? Dodge is Durango. No affiliation with Jeep or anything like that. But he is taking over Ram, which is why these modifications, these upgrades in the big V8 is coming back, because it's going to start with Ram and then it's got to work its way down to the other, you know, brands. It's got to work its way into the Charger somehow or another. Somehow or another, they've got to take a step back and look at this and say, we've got to do something with the Charger. You know what I mean? The Challenger is dead, unfortunately. Either we've got to take this Charger and drop a V8 back in it, or, you know, I don't know. Like, they have to. It has to trickle down. And I think that's what it's going to do. I think it's going to start with the Ram and what Tim Kuniskis is doing with the Ram, the RHO, the 1500, 6.4, the 1500, 5.7s, bringing the Hemi back, period. And then, of course, the T-Rex, getting rid of the RHO with the new T-Rex. And then maybe it'll trickle down to Dodge somehow or another, you know. But it's all going to start with Ram. But it would make sense for Ram to be mass producing 5.7s and 6.4s again and dropping Hellcats and Durangos and TRXs. And then you got the Charger over here basically dying on a hill with an inline six pack and a punk ass electric battery under the hood. You know what I mean? You just can't let it die on a hill like that. So I would imagine, just because Dodge is so locked in with the Charger having the inline six Hurricane and the electric bullshit, I think they're locked in on that for probably the next foreseeable future, at least 1, 2, 3 years. Like, it's got to run its cycle. I think they got to drop all those engines, get rid of them as much as they can, and then in 27, 28, maybe they can come back with a V8 in the Charger, and then completely redesign it. Because me personally, I don't like anything about it. I don't like the outside. I don't like the exterior. I don't like the interior. The only thing I like about it is the ambient lights on the inside. I've always wanted ambient lights in my cars, but you know, that's that. But ultimately, this is good news. You know what I'm saying? This is really good news. I mean, you look at the leaked email, they were talking about the 5.7 Hemi is going to come back, the 6.4 is coming back, the T-Rex with the big Hellcat power is coming back. I wouldn't imagine them putting an inline six engine in a T-Rex. So even though it doesn't say T-Rex with the Hemi is coming back with more power, why would they do that? Why would they drop a T-Rex with the big inline six Hurricane engine with more power? That nobody cares about that. It's not a T-Rex, that's just a RHO or RHO. So it's got to be, it has to be a TRX with a big Hemi Hellcat engine, 6.2 liter Hemi with more power. And some of these websites are indicating that they may be dropping a red eye engine in the T-Rex, which would be ridiculous, ridiculous, as opposed to this new twin turbo inline six 540 horsepower RHO. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. So if you're in the market for a big, powerful truck and you were considering the RHO, if you are okay with this price range and this is just genuinely what you want, by all means, go ahead and get it. Because I truly believe that when the T-Rex comes out in 2026 with that bigger Hellcat engine, it's probably going to start at about 90,000. You know, the MSRP is probably going to be at about 90, 95. So it's going to be an expensive truck. So that in and of itself is going to, you know, kind of have people taking a step back, because it's like, I don't want to spend $100,000 for a Dodge truck or a Ram truck. And that's probably where that RHO is going to come into play, simply because it looks similar, doesn't quite perform as well, obviously, but it's cheaper, $15,000 cheaper. I can do more with the $85,000 truck as opposed to $100,000. So it's going to be expensive. You're going to have to pay for it. But the Hemi is back. You know what I'm saying? The Hemi is back. This is the drive.com. This is them talking about it. The 5.7 is coming back. The TRX with more power. The 6.4 is going to be dropping into the 1500s. Power Wagon diesel. Oh, wow. Okay. You're going to get a diesel in the Power Wagon. Notably, it indicates that there will be an additional run of Wrangler 392. So the 392 engine is coming back for the following year in the Wranglers. The Durango will finally end its Hellcat run after this year. But the 5.7 is coming back, the 6.4. The T-Rex is coming back with the bigger engine than ever before. So it all makes sense, man. It all makes sense. The Hemi is coming back. Now, what it's going to do for Dodge and the Charger, we don't know. Like I said, I think they really just got to run that course with this inline six-pack bullshit that they're coming out with this summer. And I think they got to run its course with this electric bullshit as well. Like, they can't just drop a Hemi in it next year like they can the Ram, because they made so much hype about this inline six and Hurricane bullshit that they've just got to let it run its course, or take its course for the next probably year and a half, 2 years, man. Because what, the new Charger came out in 24, right? That was the first year. In 24, so 24, 25, probably 26 and 27. So we may not see a Hemi in a Charger that we like until 27, 28, man, at the soonest. But we will be seeing them in the Ram as soon as next year, man. So like, subscribe, comment, talk to your boy, man. The Hemi is coming back. Dodge is going back to the V8. It's going to be, baby steps. Or I should say Stellantis is going back to the V8. It's going to be baby steps, but that's how things generally work, man. So talk to me in the comments, guys. I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace.